Hello everyone, welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Today I'm going to rank all 9 studio albums by Steely Dan. Between 1972 and 1980, their initial output, Steely Dan put out consistently brilliant albums. Just each album progressing to the next, just incredible stuff. So we're going to count them down from number 9 to number 1. They did put out 2 albums after they reunited in 1993, but it took them another 7 years to release their first album, which was Two Against Nature. And then there was another one called Everything Must Go. So we're going to include the initial 7 albums plus the 2 albums after they reunited in 1993. So I'm going to start off here with their final album, Everything Must Go, which came out in 2003. A little bit of a disappointment here. I wasn't really expecting much. A lot of the Donald Fagen albums, except for Nightfly, kind of follow the same kind of musical palette. It just kind of, there's just nothing really memorable. All the songs kind of have the same kind of tone and beat and vibe. And that's kind of the problem I have with a lot of like post-Gouto, Steely Dan related albums. They all sound very mechanical sounding. They lack that human feel that their classic stuff has. So, yeah, this album, I maybe only played it 3 or 4 times, and I was very disappointed. Nothing too memorable. So this is coming in at number 9, and this really is the only real turd, in my opinion, in their collection. Everything else they put out is just fantastic. So number 9 is Everything Must Go from 2003. Coming in at number 8 is Two Against Nature. This was their comeback record after Gouto. There was like a 20-year span between Gouto and this album. This actually won Grammy of the Year award, which was kind of ironic considering of all the great albums that were released by Steely Dan prior. But at least they were recognized. So this album here, I remember seeing them on tour at the Universal Amphitheater on this album. And it was one of my favorite Steely Dan shows. I think I've seen them 4 or 5 times. I remember them opening with the Boston Rag, going into Night by Night. We had like 10 row. I think we were in the 10th row in that particular show. And it was just they were just on fire that night. So this album, I think half of it is really good. The rest is kind of mediocre. But the tracks I really dig on here are Almost Gothic, which kind of reminds me of kind of their Katy Lied period. Really, really stands out to me on this album. And then you got Negative Girl, which I like, West of Hollywood, Janie Runaway. The rest of the songs are good, but they're not real, just, you know, they don't really like hit your brain in a way where you memorize them like right off the bat. But it's still a fine album. And this for me is coming in at number 8 on my Steely Dan ranking. Coming in at number 7 is 1980's Goucho. Fine album. This is kind of when they're going into their ultra perfectionist phase. This was kind of continue into Donald Fagen's The Nightfly and the rest of his solo career, and then the latter Steely Dan albums. But it doesn't lack for songs, that's for sure. This album might have more of a mechanical feeling to it, not a lot of human feel, but the songs are great. Babylon Sisters opens it up, great song. Hey 19 was a huge hit. The last song on side 1, Glamour for Profession, is okay. It goes on just a little too long, though. It needed a little editing, I think. My 2 favorite songs are the title track, Goucho, which pianist Keith Jarrett sued them for because it sounded like his song, Long As You Know You're Living Yours. So that was settled. I don't know how much they had to pay Keith Jarrett, but that's a great tune nevertheless, Goucho. I love the melody. My favorite song on the album, Time Out of Mind, is so good. I think that might have been a second single. I'm not sure, but... And then there's My Rival, which is okay, and then it ends on a really, really cool note. Third World Man, nice slow ballad. The great, great solo by Larry Carlton. So every album from here on in, including this one, are either 4-star or 5-star albums. So this one is a solid 4, and this is coming in at number 7, and this is Goucho from 1980. Coming in number 6 is their debut, Campy Thrill. Fine record, spawning 2 hit singles, Do It Again and Reelin' in the Years, which you've heard a bazillion times on the radio. There's some really great deep cuts on here. I've always loved Fire in the Hole with a great piano solo in the middle. I think Fagen's playing on that. I love the last track, Turn That Heartbeat Over Again. I think that's really underrated. There's some songs sung by David Palmer. He was the second vocalist when Steely Dan began, but the majority of the songs are sung by Donald Fagen. Another great one on here is Only a Fool Would Say That. And then you've got Kings, you've got Dirty Work, which has had some airplay. That's sung by David Palmer. This is a really fine debut, but it doesn't really illustrate the real Steely Dan sound yet. That's coming into the next album. And while we're holding this album up too, by the way, there's this import I bought a while ago, years and years ago. It's an import of Haitian Divorce, Do It Again, and then it has two songs that were supposed to be on Can't Buy a Thrill. They were outtakes from Can't Buy a Thrill. One was called Dallas. It's on this record. And another one called Sail the Waterway, which is such a great song. I don't know why that didn't make the cut on Can't Buy a Thrill. It has such an incredible vocal melody, great chorus, really great guitar solo in the middle. And for some reason, it's only available in mono. You can pull it up on YouTube, but I highly recommend you hear Sail the Waterway. Dallas isn't really a very good song, but Sail the Waterway is a gem, and I think it should have been on Can't Buy a Thrill. So Can't Buy a Thrill is coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, you're probably going to go, what? Asia at number 5? But every album from here on in for me is a 5-star. I really rated this by these last 5 about how much I play these albums. So they're rated by how much I still play them. I still love them all. This is definitely a 5-star classic. I remember buying this when I was 12 years old when it first came out. I was in 7th grade, and I had drum class in junior high. And when I heard the drumming by Steve Gadd on the title track, I was just, I want to be a drummer. I want to be a drummer. But that changed, and I soon became a guitarist, songwriter. But yeah, I initially wanted to be a drummer. And the title track on Asia is one of the most amazing tracks in the history of pop music. It's just, I mean, what do you say about it? I mean, the musicianship on it is incredible. You got that sax solo by Wayne Shorter, incredible drums by Steve Gadd. Yeah, it's just, if you had to rank, the top Steely Dan songs, the title track of Asia would be in the top 5, hands down. It's such a masterpiece. The whole first side is a masterpiece. You've got Black Cow, Asia, Deacon Blues, which was a hit. Side 2, you've got Peg, which was another hit with a great guitar solo by Jay Graydon. You got Home at Last with a great guitar solo by Walter Becker. I Got the News, and then Josie wraps it up, another hit. Just an absolute masterpiece. And a great album showing that you could be a perfectionist, but also show human feel to the songs as well, too. These all have really strong human feel elements to it. It's just very perfectionist, and there's nothing wrong with that. The songs are all killer. This is coming in at number 5 for me. This is a landmark album in my life. Steely Dan, Asia. Coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is their second album, Countdown to Ecstasy. Such an amazing record. Another 5-star album. Starts off with Bodhisattva. My favorite songs on here, though, I love Razor Boy, the second track with those vibes on it. Boston Rag is such a killer track. Such a killer track with great guitar solos. Your Gold Teeth ends side 1. Another great one. Side 2 is absolute perfection. Showbiz Kids, My Old School with that classic, just incredible Jeff Skunk Baxter guitar solo. You've got a really great song on here called Pearl of the Quarter with some really nice pedal steel guitar. And then it ends with King of the World, just a great way to end a perfect album. This is one of their greatest albums. Came out in 1973, Countdown to Ecstasy. Countdown to Ecstasy by Steely Dan, coming in at number 4 on my list of favorite Steely Dan albums. Coming in at number 3 is Royal Scam from 1976. This is probably their best guitar-oriented record. Starts off with Kid Charlemagne with that epic guitar solo by Larry Carlton. You also have amazing guitar solos by Larry Carlton throughout the album. You've got Everything You Did, and you've got Don't Take Me Alive, which is the third track. Just killer track. One of my favorite songs on the album, though, is The Caves of Altamira. Second track, just incredible chorus and backup vocals, sax solo. You've got the Fez on here, which is kind of a pseudo-disco song. Ain't Gonna Do It Without the Fez on. Great stuff. Side 2, Green Earrings, one of my all-time favorite Steely Dan songs. You got a solo by Danny Diaz, and then you've got another solo by Elliot Randall. Just incredible solos throughout the record. To me, this is kind of like the epitome of what a guitar solo should be on this album. The solo is just melodic, a lot of bending strings, just a lot of feel, a lot of soul. You have Haitian Divorce, which is kind of a reggae type of tune on side 2. Everything You Did is great. And they mentioned the Eagles in there. Turn Up the Eagles, the neighbors are listening. And then the epic closer, The Royal Scam. 5-star record here, just a masterpiece. Coming in at number 3. Coming at number 2 is one of my absolute favorite albums of all time, Katie Lied from 1975. This is a real change in sound for them after Pretzel Logic. They're going a little more jazzy, just straight on jazz, like songs like Your Gold Teeth 2, which is amazing, has a great Denny Diaz solo on it. But it starts off with Black Friday with just a burning guitar solo by Walter Becker. Walter Becker is so underrated. I don't know why they didn't use him more on these albums, but he turns in not only one of his best solos, but one of my absolute favorite guitar solos of all time on Bad Sneakers. One of my absolute favorite Steely Dan songs. That's track 2 on this album. Oh my God, the melody and just everything about it. It's just perfect pop. You got Rose Darling, another perfect pop song. Daddy Don't Live in That New York City No More. And of course, the epic Dr. Wu ending side 1. Great sax solo. Side 2, you've got Everyone's Gone to the Movies. You've got Chain Lightning, great guitar solo by Rick Derringer. Another just phenomenal tune called Any World That I'm Welcome To. And then Throwback the Little Ones ends the album. This is just an absolute masterpiece of an album from 1975. Coming in at number 2. And coming in at number 1 is the first album I ever heard by Steely Dan and became an instant fan. I heard this album about 1975, I guess. So I was about 10 years old. 2 years later, I bought it. It was my first Steely Dan album, and that is Pretzel Logic. One of my absolute favorite albums of all time. Probably in my top 10 albums of all time, easily. From 1974. This is the Steely Dan album where the songs are short, pop songs, a little less jazz, a little more pop. You've got Ricky Don't Lose That Number. It starts it off. Just an absolute great single from 74 with a great solo by, who is that? Who does that solo? It is, I think it might be Denny Diaz, I'm sure. I'm not sure. Or maybe Skunk Baxter. But anyway, onward. We got Night by Night, which features a really great solo by Jeff Skunk Baxter. 2 songs in a row that are 2 of my absolute favorites. What is that song? Any Major Dude Will Tell You. Starts with off with that really cool acoustic guitar. Berrytown, one of my all-time favorite Steely Dan songs. They should have released that song as a single. It is so catchy, and I love Donald Fagen's vocals on that. You've got an instrumental closing the album out, East St. Louis Toodaloo, which is odd, but it just fits the whole album. The whole album is so varied, so many different styles going on. You got side 2, which is just incredible. Parker's Band, song about Charlie Parker. You got this midsection part where he goes, "We will spend a dizzy week and smack into a trance." That part is so incredible. We've got Through with Buzz, a nice quick little ditty. Pretzel Logic, the title track, with just incredible solo by Walter Becker in the middle there. Then you've got With the Gun, Charlie Freak, ends with Monkey in Your Soul. My absolute favorite Steely Dan album, Pretzel Logic, 1974. Steely Dan fans, please put your favorites in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.